The Beast from the East, the 43rd Goosebumps book in the original series, is definitely one of my all-time favorite Goosebumps books. It's really great. I mean, the suspense in here is definitely very suspenseful. I'm sorry about that. But it's definitely a really great Goosebumps book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you to check this book out. It is super, super great. But anyway, guys, today we're actually going to be talking about the Beast from the East, and mainly its main antagonist, the Beast. And in this video, I'm just going to be discussing where exactly did the Beast come from. I know this sounds like a very simple question, but there's actually a lot of other pieces of evidence if you look at it, and it actually makes a lot of sense to tie them from a less likely route, actually. And so anyway, guys, with this video, though, before we continue, there are some spoilers for The Beast from the East, obviously, and also Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. And when I say spoilers for Attack of the Beastly Babysitter, it's really just medium-sized spoilers, I guess. I'm going to be talking about the main antagonist and their main goal in the story. And also, I'm going to be talking about a certain monster that makes a cameo appearance in this story as well. And so, basically, I'm not going to completely destroy Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. After all, it is a Give Yourself Goosebumps book, and there's so many different plots you can take in the story. I'm basically going to go over the plot that will lead you to something that ties it to the Beast from the East. And that's pretty much it. So, anyway, guys, that's all the spoilers we're going to be having in this video. So, really, if you haven't read The Beast from the East, then, you should be fine to watch this video. If you really don't like your Goosebumps books being spoiled, though, then also spoilers for Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. But anyway, guys, with that out of the way, let's continue on to the main topic of this theory, and that is the Beast. So, just in case you don't know, the Beasts are basically these animals that live in this really weird forest, and it's really just out in the middle of nowhere. And in this forest, there's a bunch of umbrella trees, and all these weird funky mushrooms and all that stuff. It's a pretty interesting place and all that, and basically the top predators from what we see in the story are the beasts. And basically, every season or so, they host this game called The Beast from the East, and basically, they get humans who get lost in the woods, and they basically make them play this dangerous game of tag, in which they tag the character, or, a human that gets lost in the woods, and the humans basically have to tag a beast before sunset or so. And when it is sunset, then the beast from the east will hunt them down and basically eat them. And that's pretty much what the beasts are. And, at first, it doesn't seem like that, big of a deal of where they came from. Obviously, they're just animals. They were born as animals. They've always been animals that have lived in this woods. And they also, just one thing I forgot to mention, is they are super intelligent. They created basically this communicator thing that would make them speak any language in the world. And it's really interesting and all that stuff, and they're super intelligent, super strong, and super fast, and they can climb trees and all of that. So, that's pretty much the beast, and again I say, they do seem very, natural. They were just born that way. They're an unknown species in this unknown forest. They hunt humans and all that stuff, and that's all it seems to be for the Beast from the East, or the Beast. But there's actually more than meets the eye, and that is actually, you can see that in Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. So in Attack of the Beastly Babysitter, basically this babysitter named Zoe or something like that goes over to your house. They call it yours because, it's a Give Yourself Goosebumps book, and basically Zoe's going to take care of you and all that stuff, but then, according to what different endings and stuff like that and decisions you make, you get sent to this area that is the place where the mouse person, one thing I forgot to mention, so sorry about this, is also that the rat person, or Zoe, is described to look very much like a rat in some ways, and so basically she takes you to the area that she works at. It's called Kid Scare. And basically, they used to be rats, and then a science experiment or something like that went wrong, and they were turned into humanoid-looking rats, kind of like what you see in the cover art, but in the book itself, they're more described to be human, but they seem rat-like in a way. And so basically what they need is this thing called graded kid, or something like that, and they need that thing to basically turn themselves back into rats. And that is pretty much the plot for Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. And so again, depending on what end you take, or choice, whatever, you actually get to encounter the Beast from the East in this kid scare area. And that I found very strange. You know, the Beasts from the East are these animals that live out in the middle of nowhere. How come they get to go to out of their forest, especially in a place called Kid Scare? I mean, no one really knows that exists. They never reference it in any other Goosebumps book, and they really don't seem to be that big of, I mean, I get it maybe if a beast from the East goes out into the modern world, but it magically gets inside Kid Scare area, which you don't really even know how to go to. The only reason the main protagonist got there in the first place because of this little tunnel that the rat person let them go through, and all that. So it's kind of strange that a beast from the East would be in there. I always found that slightly strange, and I think this could lead to a possible different origin story for the beast from the East. Maybe a similar origin story to the rat-like people from Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. Maybe they used to be a sort of animal. In the book, the beasts from the East are very much described to look similar to koalas, so maybe they used to be koalas or something. And then, when a science experiment got wrong, maybe by the same scientist who did the ones from Attack of the Beastly Babysitter, then, that would mean that they would have a science experiment gone wrong origin story. And just judging from a whole lot of evidence, this may actually make a bit of sense. After all, if they weren't science experiment gone wrong, similar or by the same science guy who turned the rat people from rats to humanoid-looking rat people, I mean, it should be the same case probably for the beast, because how else would that beast get there unless it's in a very similar situation to the rats? And not only that, but these rat people speak English, which would lead to another similarity between them and the beast from the East. I know what you say, though, the beasts from the East you have communicators and all that stuff, but I think it should be the same case for the rat people. After all, if these guys were rats for a majority of their life, then they should speak maybe some sort of rat language, I don't really know, but they sure, probably shouldn't speak English. It doesn't make sense for them to speak English in this story. I mean, after all, they really don't need to speak English, even though they're humans. And even though they do kind of need the graded kid thing to turn themselves back into rats, but still, I mean, they're rat people, and, I don't really see them turning into humans, or, speaking English. And also, there's the fact that this most likely happened when they turned from rats into humans, seems fairly in the modern day, it seems like, because these guys were made in a science experiment and stuff like that, and it needs to be a pretty high-tech science experiment, for them to be turned from rats into humans. And so I would have to say this takes place possibly in the modern day. Maybe it takes place during the 90s due to the book's release, but it takes place, in fairly modern times. And possibly most likely, again I say, around the time of the plot to Attack the Beastly Babysitter. So they can't speak or learn to speak English that fast, because first off, they can't even read any language except for maybe rat language or something like that, due to them being rats overall. And so, I honestly think, as a whole, these guys most likely had communicators similar to the Beast from the East. And even in the story, when they did have the cameo appearance of the Beast spoke English, which means it had its communicator there. And so these rat people most likely would also have these communicators in order to speak English, which would lead to another close similarity between the beasts and the rat people from Attack of the Beastly Babysitter, tying them even closer to possibly a, science experiment gone wrong thing for the beasts. Also, there's another piece of evidence, and that is the squirrel people that you see in the Beast from the East. So at one point in the story, the main protagonist actually encounters a squirrel person. And, it looks like a humanoid-looking squirrel. That's kind of strange, especially for the world of the Beast from the East. That was kind of strange, because it's a giant squirrel that can speak English. And that means that it also needed a communicator, and that would tie those things also close to Attack of the Beastly Babysitter. So maybe not only the beasts in this area are science experiment gone wrong, maybe even the squirrel people, because that squirrel person most likely is super intelligent, along with Beast from the East and these rat people from Attack the Beastly Babysitter. Because keep in mind, their whole life they were rats, and then they get turned to humans, and so most likely these guys turn super intelligent. After all, they have communicators, very similar to the Beast from the East, and another similarity is the cover art for Attack the Beastly Babysitter between the squirrel person, because that squirrel person is a giant humanoid-looking squirrel that speaks English, and basically in the cover art for Attack the Beastly Babysitter, you see a giant humanoid-looking rat that speaks English. Very much a similarity. And so, overall, I would say that it is very likely that the Beast from the East and the, rat people from Attack the Beastly Babysitter are in the same sort of boat. And the squirrel person also from the Beast from the East. Maybe these guys were all used in a science experiment gone wrong. That explains how they all can speak English and most likely have communicators. That would explain why a beast is there, because it's sort of made by the same person who made those evil rat people, and all that, and that would explain all the weird animals and stuff like that in the forest. And overall, guys, that's the end of my theory. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. Tell me what you think. Do you think the beasts from the East are naturally born animals and all that stuff? Or do you think they are creatures very similar to the rat people from Attack of the Beastly Babysitter? But tell me what you think in the comments section below. But anyway, guys, that's the end of my video, and I hope you enjoyed.